gonna happen again here, folks. It is the Canuck and Yankee show for January 23rd, 2022. And so we got a bunch of stuff going on here today. We're going to start with Russia, and then we're going to move on to China. We got some Bitcoin news, some Bizarro, the usual smorgasbord. And we want to thank you all for watching, for those of you watching on YouTube and D-Live and all the rest of it. And just great that you're on board. So the Yankees going to give us a little background on what the heck is Russia. Anyway, a little history from the end of World War II to the fall of the Berlin Wall. And like I said, we're going to try and move through this fairly quickly because we got a bunch of stuff on China. And then we also got an article. I don't know how much we're going to go into it, but if we don't get too much of it, you want to look it up because it's out of the Star from Toronto, Canada. And it's basically saying the old rules of war will be no help to the West as it confronts Russian hostility in the new age. So I'll leave it over to the La Canuck, and I mean La Yankee. I get all confused here. What do you got here? You got a study from the Academy of Lessons building and tearing down the Berlin Wall.
I've got some videos.
YouTube.
We'll see. Maybe we just do one of them, but let me switch over to the media viewer.
Dish it up,
Let's see if this works. I think my mic's on. Hey, is this thing on?
Oh, I hope your mic is on.
All right, so Soviet Union, history from end of World War II to the fall of the Berlin Wall.
I am the Canuck, and I am
Let me actually load both of these puppies up. This one's a 10-minute. We're not going to do that.
No, we got no
Joseph Stalin.
But it's a good. It's in the show notes. Which
we could make this show about 8 hours, but you know, we're very busy people. You know.
I'm gonna post the show notes.
Show me the notes. So how are y'all doing out there anyway? Is anybody there? Okay. Yeah.
All right, so this is from study.com.
There's some guy named Gregory Walter watching on YouTube. Do you know that guy?
No, I've never heard of him.
No, I don't understand him either. Okay, good on. Bring it on, Yankee.
So
it seems people are always talking about figurative walls.
Couple minutes here.
Whether it's throwing
minutes.
up walls in your personal life, at your job, or socially, cutting yourself off from the rest of society is generally considered a bad thing. This colloquialism is prevalent in modern language, possibly due to a very real wall which existed for a quarter century that divided one half of a German city from another. The Berlin Wall, which existed for nearly 30 years, was even more detrimental than your personal foibles, literally cutting off families and friends from one another. Germany's defeat in World War II presented a bit of a problem for the Allied nations. The Western Allies had advanced from the west and south, with Russia advancing through German territory from the east, achieving the unconditional German surrender that Stalin demanded, only through a prolonged siege of Berlin. As Hitler committed suicide and his generals surrendered, the Allied nations had to decide what to do with the defeated German nation. At conferences at Yalta and Potsdam, the United States and the United Kingdom agreed to allow the Soviet Union to have direct control or influence over most of Eastern Europe, including the eastern third of the German state. The western two-thirds was split into zones and controlled by the US, the UK, and France. However, the German capital, Berlin, presided smack in the middle of the proposed Soviet zone of occupation. The Western Allies did not want the traditional German seat of power entirely in Soviet hands, and as a result agreed to split the city of Berlin down the middle in similar fashion as the rest of Germany. The Soviets accepted this situation, although they did not like having a partially capitalist city in the middle of the communist zone. As a result, they attempted to drive the Western Allies out of West Berlin by blockading the city. The Allies showed their resolve to hold on to West Berlin by conducting the Berlin Airlift in 1948, which flew millions of tons of food and supplies into the ailing West Berlin. With the Soviet Union forced to live with the...
Are you serious? All right. Well, that's that's not good.
No,
I didn't think that was going to happen. But let's.
I kind of missed it. But so, what was the gist of all that? Guy doing two other things. Sorry about that.
Well, so basically, after World War II, basically the UK, Churchill, U.S. They set up the Berlin Wall. It split Germany, right? East Germany, West Germany, which was capitalistic or whatever. East Germany, communist, and that lasted till 1989, and then Gorbachev brought in the reform, and then the wall came down with Reagan. But that is the basics of it. And
yeah, I know
that whole block, that Soviet bloc, Putin is going piece by piece. It seems like.
Well, they're trying to get basically, since I got a bit of background on all this since I've been around since 1951, apparently, according to the documents, and Russia was seen as a very clear-cut enemy back through the 50s and into the 60s. And it seems like after the détente and everything, the West just kind of figured they were not to be forgotten about, but not to be taken that seriously. But then Vladimir Putin, who, for those of you that just woke up to reality, used to be head of a thing called the KGB. I think they changed their name.
Right, yeah, no, keep going. I'm going to find out.
So, yeah, he was the head of the KGB, and they call it something different now. But the guy is a bit of a whack job, and he wants to...
So, just real quick, the KGB was succeeded by the Federal Counterintelligence Service, FSK, of Russia.
Well, watch out for them.
Which was succeeded by the Federal Security Service of Russia.
Well, it's similar to what you guys went through, I think. Not as bad. I mean, you guys were you're nothing as bad as Russia. Don't get me wrong. But it's like Make America Great Again. I mean, Vladdy wants to do the same thing. He wants to make the Soviet Union back again. It's like, they did a study, a little side here, just to keep everybody off. Apparently, like, you get the same emotional reaction from getting $10 as losing $1. In other words, the effect upon your psyche is the same. So people take a loss very seriously. Now, go ahead. What else you got for the people out there?
So you just had all those countries under the Soviet bloc, and now they're all broken up. I mean, right after the Berlin Wall, they're broken up, and that's how we've got Kazakhstan now, and Uzbekistan,
and all these countries. There was also the Eastern Bloc was not technically part of the Soviet Union, but was under their thumb, which included Poland and Romania and Yugoslavia, which was kind of not quite as under the thumb because of Tito. He didn't put up with it as much, but they lost all that too. But what he wants back is the Ukraine, and that's the main subject that we're covering today, the situation in the Ukraine, because Ukraine is extremely strategic, and he already took back part of Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula. So that's the hot spot right now. But for those of you that might be interested, all you folks that are maybe born in closer to this century, Soviet Union was quite the piece of business, and the Cold War. So where do you want to go with this?
I just want to do something real quick here. Is this correct?
Sing a song or something to keep the people entertained?
No, I'm trying to find a proper map here. But I'll get it later. I've got the old map up on the media viewers from 1949 to 89.
Here's the East Bloc, which is a whole pile of countries. and it was really tense. My Westerners generally could not go there, um, and it was pretty weird. But like I say, it seems to me that after détente, we kind of just the Western alliances just kind of went, well, we won. They're going to just stay at home and drink vodka and play balalaikas and stuff like that. But it didn't work out that way. All right, where are we moving with this?
We can move on to the old rules of war will be no help as the West confronts Russia's hostility.
Go for it.
So this is from thestar.com.
Yeah, it's a Canadian organization. Sometimes they don't let you. Oh, they let you get this. Sometimes they won't let you.
So the world has changed since the Iron Curtain was lifted and gas pipelines were laid from east to west.
Yeah.
Now that Russia's put a gun to Ukraine's head, NATO is not about to cry uncle. Canada, for its part, is all solidarity. With 200 troops on the line, deployed on the front lines of Europe, but in the high-stakes game of projecting deterrence, the West has already lost the battle. Not just with Russia, but equally with China, which is watching closely as it casts covetous eyes on Taiwan and the surrounding neighborhood. That's because NATO is fighting the last war, Cold War frozen in time, what worked with the old Soviet military monolith threat postures, proxy skirmishes, and nuclear deterrence is no longer workable in a world worn down by battle fatigue in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah, I know it.
So now Canada and the rest of the West have signaled they will not launch World War III if Russia invades. This week, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau signaled Canada's troop mission will be renewed, but offered only measured words of reassurance to his Ukrainian counterpart. And it's quick to mention Biden had some kind of gaffe recently. Happened a few days ago. He's talking about. He basically said that if it's not a full invasion, if Putin doesn't go in with full force, it's not.
I know.
We're not going to really do anything. And then the Secretary of State had to make an announcement and try to clear things up. But Biden is known for his gaffes, so that was definitely very strange.
Well, they're all speak out of both sides of their mouths usually, but and later a little bit coming right up, we're going to tie in that there's this group of people that are Russian-speaking people that live in the eastern Ukraine, and they have this Russian-backed insurgency going on, and I predict that the Russians are going to use that excuse, maybe go in 50 miles, and then another 50 miles, and it'll test the West. And with the president of the United States saying things like, well, you can do a little bit, but not too much. I mean, a guy like Vladdy will take that. So,
and Putin just keeps going on and on about NATO and that, Ukraine can't join NATO. Ukraine can't join NATO. And he's just throwing that out there.
He doesn't care.
To try to justify all of this. And it's
really simple. He wants ridiculous. Ukraine back under his thumb. It's really, really simple. Okay, what next?
So we'll move on to Microsoft disclosing hacks in Ukraine related to Russian invasion.
Oh, lovely.
I've got a lot of articles here, but let me see. We're not gonna do all of them. AP News probably be good.
Yeah, we're gonna just for you folks out there that might be getting nervous. We are going to stay on top of this Russian story because it is developing. So, yeah, go ahead. Now what's Microsoft done?
CSOonline.com, Russia-linked cyber attacks on Ukraine, a timeline. Cyber incidents are playing a central role in the Russia-Ukraine conflicts. Here how events are unfolding along with unanswered questions. Saturday night, January 15th, Microsoft shook the cybersecurity world with a report that destructive wiper malware had penetrated dozens of government, nonprofit, and IT organizations in Ukraine. This news capped a week of mounting apprehension of cyber attacks in Ukraine that could presage or accompany a real-world Russian military invasion of the country. January 11th, U.S. releases cybersecurity advisory. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, FBI, NSA, Joint Cyber Security Advisory, providing overview of Russian state-sponsored cyber operations to cover commonly observed tactics, techniques, and procedures. The advisory also provided detection actions, incident response guides, and mitigations. January 13th to the 14th, Ukrainian websites defaced following a breakdown of diplomatic talks between Russia and the West intended to forestall a threatened Russian invasion of Ukraine. Hackers launched defacement attacks that brought down dozens of Ukrainian websites, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. January 14th, Russia takes down Revol ransomware group in what appeared to be a surprise demonstration of U.S.-Russian collaboration. Russia's FSB domestic intelligence service said that it dismantled ransomware crime group Revol at the request of the United States, an operation that resulted in the arrest of the group's members. And I believe these guys were part of the recent ransomware attacks on companies here in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah. So that was strange that Putin did that all in the middle of this. I think he was trying to buy time or whatever, and I don't know. January 15th, Microsoft reveals discovery of malware on Ukrainian websites. This is where they discovered the malware, ransomware, and the Ukrainian government, Microsoft didn't specify which agencies or organizations were targeted, but said they provide critical executive branch or emergency response functions, as well as an IT firm that manages websites for public and private sector clients. If activated by the attacker, the wiper malware would render the unaffected computer system inoperable. Technopost outlined the malware, saying that while designed to look like ransomware, it lacked a ransomware recovery mechanism. It was intended to be destructive and was built to render targeted devices inoperable rather to obtain a ransom. So, sounds like directly from Putin and his hacker.
Oh, he's got quite the team. Yeah, he's got quite the team.
It also sounded like these attacks were basically set to be triggered when Russian troops go in, but that hasn't happened yet. And then January 16th, Ukraine blames Russia for attack on Ukrainian websites, but that's
just going to go on for a while. All right. That's all fine.
And then Ukraine and Russian tensions mount. I think we should just move to Belarus. I want to check this out because you found this.
You want to Belarus? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is an angle. And I think we show the satellite images too. That's really kind of neat. The NBCnews.com thing.
Here on Ukraine? All right, let's do this then. So we'll go back to Ukraine.
Let's get a visual for the people. And they're tired of looking at just us. And then we got the Al Jazeera one. I don't know if you want to go with that one or not. But yeah. Okay.
So this is recent satellite imagery released by Maxar Technology showed what it said were Russian. Hold on. At Klimovo, what appeared to be armored personnel carriers and trucks could be seen at a facility reportedly used by Russian military.
Yeah, look at all them things.
Military units could also be seen gathered at Yelena on the Desna River, including what are believed to be tanks, artillery, and support vehicles. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at that parking lot. Oh. That's sophisticated stuff, people. That ain't your average.
These images of the Pognovo training area, about 100 miles north of the Ukrainian border, were captured on January 16th.
Yeah. And it's built from there. They got trains full of this stuff.
We got Saudi in the chat, donated a lemon. Thank you for that.
Who loves you, baby?
So there's the satellite imagery. Let's get to the. You would do the Al Jazeera out of here, or
let's just do 30 seconds to 134, and
down here.
Yeah, that should do it.
30 seconds to 134.
Yeah, just a minute.
All right.
Al Jazeera. We got good journalists from people.
Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Peter Dobby. A high-stakes meeting between Russia and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, over Ukraine ended without a breakthrough. Politicians and military men from both sides said significant differences remained during what they described as frank and open discussions. More talks are underway, but failing to reach an understanding means the risk of armed conflict in Europe is very real. The US and NATO have been increasingly concerned about a Russian military build-up near the border with Ukraine. The arrival of more than 100,000 soldiers and tanks, artillery and long-range rocket units prompted fears about a ground invasion. The Russian president, Vladimir Putin, has repeatedly denied that, while also warning NATO against expanding near its border. Both NATO and the US rejected the Kremlin's demands on security, among them a guarantee that NATO will not accept Ukraine and other former Soviet nations as members.
Saturday says in the chat, Cyber Polygon, WEF was wargaming this agenda. Are you referencing the recent cyber test hack, worldwide hacking trial run through that they did?
Don't know.
Possible. I remember that. That was a few months back.
Okay. Hey, let's roll this Belarus video. I just sent it to you as a separate link, but I think you got it. It's from
Belarus updates. Russian troops. I have the rferl.org link. Was there something else?
See it. No, that's all there is. I think it's a video.
All right, so this is out of rferl.org.
Yeah.
Russian forces are, let's just start from the beginning. Russian forces are moving into Belarus as Ukraine invasion fears.
You can just roll it. Roll it until you get bored. It's good up to 3 minutes, but whenever. It's video.
Президенты приняли решение провести внеплановую проверку войск и оценить их готовность обеспечить военную безопасность, а также отработать различные варианты совместных действий по нейтрализации угроз и стабилизации обстановки на границах союзного государства.
Во-первых, это продемонстрировать, в принципе, то, что Беларусь вообще готова действительно не только на словах, а на деле к принятию российских войск в случае какой-то там конфронтации. Во-вторых, действительно провести проверку такой вот, это беспрецедентный масштаб. Достаточно короткие сроки без особого там нарушения гражданских перевозок. То есть вот такой вот стресс-тест.
So basically, Putin's coming. Putin's massing troops up from multiple angles. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
It's really smart. I mean, he's a good tactician, you know. But here at Variant News, we try to cover stuff that people aren't covering. This Belarus thing, I haven't heard it mentioned on mainstream media very much, but he's opening up another front. Plus, we've been covering Belarus quite a bit. It's a very messy situation there, extremely repressed. And I got a little bit of background here on what we're talking about of the connection. See, it wasn't until 2014 and Ukraine had a very friendly guy, Levashenko, I think his name was. No, Yankukovich. Okay, he was in charge, but he had to leave. But in 2016, the Security Service Ukraine, SVU, published the first batch of telephone intercepts from 2014. And this guy named Sergei Klazev, and he's a Russian presidential advisor, and another guy named Konstantin Zatlulin, and other people, in which they discussed covert funding of pro-Russian activists in eastern Ukraine. This is what I'm talking about. The occupation of administration buildings and other actions that in due course led to armed conflict. Yeah, okay. So anyhow, they all denied it, which they always do. But like I say, I'm making a prediction they're going to use it as an excuse and do incursions and test the West. And so you got to stay tuned to the Canuck and Yankee show and Variant News because we're going to stay on top of this. And I think that's enough for today. But we want to move on to the.
Well, I want to go over real quick, quick. Former leader Nazarbayev looted the country and then placed Tokayev, the nerdy-looking guy, in power. But Nazarbayev is still running the show.
That's in Kazakhstan.
This is Kazakhstan.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're staying on top of that. Listen, we are getting so friggin' busy covering Asia. It's almost like...
So this is, it's a great article, but we're just going to go over it quick. So this guy, Nazarbayev, basically looted the country when he was ruling, the former president.
This is Kazakhstan we're talking about, people.
There's his Mercedes-Benz and like some gold enclosure weird thing.
Yeah.
And then he just installed the new president, and he's still running the show. That's what it seems like.
That's the situation.
It's a real messy situation, but that's not. It's just something that doesn't get covered in the headlines.
That's the problem. That's why we have to do this show. I mean, we got better things to do. I could be watching another one of my favorite football teams disintegrate in front of me, but no, I'm spending the afternoon with you people. And we're going to talk about sports. Let's move on to sports. We got lots of... come on.
Were the Bills up? Are the Bills up or not?
I don't know.
Somebody get the scores. We can... Actually, I do want to... Let's just check BBC real quick. I just want to see.
Okay. BBC, are they carrying the game?
BBC has their little dedicated Kazakhstan
I thought you were talking to the NFL. Okay.
Germany Navy Chief resigns. All right, well, we'll move on. I think it's time for the China Olympics. I think it's time for that.
This is what we really wanted to get to. So thank you for indulging us with the update about your threat from the Russians. But actually, you got to keep in mind that Russia is a relatively poor country. And the next country we're going to be talking about is not a poor country. Well, a lot of the people are poor, but as an economy, they're rather large.
Well, they have the biggest middle class now in the world, the biggest internet.
And we've got a video that we're not going to play today, but I'm going to try to convince the Yankee that we should play it, and it's about racism. But we're going to start, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, looking off my show notes. Surveillance.
We can start with the athletes warned about speaking out against China at Winter Olympics. Do that quick.
Yeah, it's all
athletes warned about speaking out against China at Winter Olympics. The Guardian. Attendees told to be aware of the Orwellian surveillance state in China. Nordic skiers say U.S. team has been told to stay silent, and it's killing me with this stupid registration. But we covered this a little bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
And
the free speech thing. Yeah, I got a printout of some of it. And a blunt message before the games begin on 4th February. The competitors have been warned, athletes not to expect the International Olympic Committee to protect them if they stood up for human rights or were critical of Chinese authorities. Robert Kohler, Director General of the most high-profile international sports athletes advocate association, Global Athletic, urged the IOC to announce it would support competitors, but they're not going to. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're telling athletes to be quiet, but the IOC is complacent. So, back to you.
And just from the article, Chinese laws are very vague in the crimes that could be used to prosecute people's free speech. She said people can be charged with picking quarrels or provoking trouble. There are all kinds of crimes that can be leveled at peaceful, critical comments. And in China, the conviction rate is 99%.
99, woo! Yeah, so don't take a knee.
I want to know who's the 1%. I mean,
remember them guys in Mexico City, the black athletes that gave the Black Power thing on the podium? Man, they probably just get shot for doing something like that in China. I believe that if it's respectful, the athletes should be able to voice their opinion. However, that should not interfere with the actual games. However, in this case, it's just an example of a Chinese paranoia.
and also, so the athletes, whoever, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of reporters and, that kind of personnel that covers the Olympics are going to be going. I think there's going to be very few. It's mainly just going to be athletes. And if you speak out, you're a foreigner, you come to the Olympics, and you speak out against the CCP, against China, they've publicly stated they will detain you.
Yeah, and as we covered last week, don't take your smartphone. Don't take your tablet. They're going to give you an SIM card that you got to use for their app. So, I mean, it's like...
It's Orwellian. So we're going to do a real quick video on the cyber... This is from NBC? No, CBC. Cybersecurity experts concerned about the 2022 Beijing Olympics app. So we're just going to do a little bit of this.
Less than 3 weeks ahead of the Beijing Olympics, February 4th, the opening ceremony. And this morning, there is a breaking story from a team of researchers at the University of Toronto, voicing concerns today about potential risks from the app that all participants of the games, that's athletes and visitors, have to download before they attend. Michael Serapio is here, first of all, to tell us more about the app in question. Michael.
Heather, the app itself is called My 2022, and it was developed in China. And as you said, every athlete, coach, journalist, sport official, well, they are expected to download this app and use it even before arriving to the People's Republic. Now, the app is meant to monitor the health of everyone participating in the Winter Games of Beijing.
Probably
and for people who will be arriving from abroad, like Team Canada, well, they need to start inputting health data 14 days before arriving in China. So they're monitoring things like fevers, coughs, headaches, sore throats. But it's more than just a health app. My 2022 is also a visitor guide and has a chat function that allows users to exchange messages and files. But after examining it, well, Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto's Monk School, well, they have concerns. As people may know, Citizen Lab researches cybersecurity, and they're pointing to a flaw in the app's encryption certificate. The flaw, they say, leaves the information of users vulnerable, meaning they could be accessed by a third party and manipulated. Take a listen.
Because of this vulnerability, someone using this app can actually connect to like someone intercepting the traffic, so they can read the traffic, they can modify it, they can change the responses from the server as well, and this is especially significant in the case of this app because you use this app to fill out health customs forms, you use it to fill out something called your green health code.
Yeah, so it's basically they're doing like man in the middle, controlling,
right.
All the communication. They're going to have full control.
Well, you're a professional app developer, and so I imagine you can really see how this could be manipulated. And if they can manipulate the information, and then they're arresting people, they could set people up if they want to. We've gone over this a number of times on the Canuck and Yankee show. The businesses that are trying to deal with China, you go over there on business and you might not come back. Okay, what's next on our plate?
So AlJazeera.com, picking quarrels China critics overseas at increasing risk. So this is basically
I got
you're
it.
Chinese and what is Vancouver, like 20% Chinese, 40%?
Well, it's not quite. Actually, the city of Vancouver isn't, but the greater metropolitan area is probably about 15 to 18%, which includes the city of Richmond, which is probably more like about 30 or 40%. Now, Xi Jinping, and he's the head of China, right? Did I get that right?
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Just say it really fast.
Xi Jinping. Not China. Oh, Christ, I'd probably get arrested within 10 minutes. They might be watching me right now. Hey, could I get some more sushi? No, it's Japanese. Okay. According to human rights watchdog Safeguard Defenders, which released a new report on Tuesday on the country's widespread practice of, quote, involuntary returns. Such pressure has been used on more than 10,000 alleged foreign refugees who, since 2014, have been coerced into returning from abroad to face detention or prosecution for alleged corruption and other crimes, the report said, citing official data. Methods to encourage, quote unquote, return can vary from harassment to coercion of friends and family online to approaching a citizen overseas through Chinese or domestic security agents, or more irregular methods like state-sponsored kidnapping, Safeguard Defenders said. In some cases, authorities may freeze family assets or even threaten to remove children from families. Safeguard Defenders said that many as 10 people have been kidnapped from among Australia's large Chinese diaspora in recent years. The list also includes 2015 disappearance of 5 staff members associated with the Hong Kong bookstore, especially as in books banned in China. 700% jump in Chinese people seeking asylum abroad between 2012 and 2020. And China's already limited in civil and political rights have been curtailed even further under President Xi. Did I get that right?
Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping.
Yeah, anyhow. Okay, now this number does not include the 88,000 Hong Kong people who applied to resettle in the United Kingdom alone in 2021 under the new immigration scheme. After the imposition of national security laws, the Chinese authority, that Amnesty says, has decimated freedoms and rights that Beijing had promised Hong Kong to respect until at least 2047. More than 175,000 people have been officially recognized as refugees, but has not kept Chinese authorities from orchestrating involuntary returns. So these people can get out of there, and then they don't get chased down.
They're
and if
always
they've left
Chinese. They're always part of the motherland and under CCP control.
Once you're Chinese, even if you, and obviously in Vancouver we have a number of activists. Particularly, we got a lot of people from Hong Kong, and a lot of the Chinese in Vancouver area are from Hong Kong. And so, they're fairly vocal, but the Chinese seem willing to come over to our country and harass these people who are now citizens of Canada.
Yeah.
So I gotta apologize to our listeners. Look, we don't like this stuff. We don't even want to cover. We wish this stuff didn't exist, but we have to cover it because it does, and nobody else seems to be wanting to.
And I saw in the UK there was a politician that was speaking in Parliament, basically saying because a lot of Hong Kongers have, not enough got out, but the ones that did get out, a lot of them are going to the UK. And this politician in the UK was basically saying there are CCP agents in the UK, and they're monitoring these Chinese people that have left, expatriates who have left Hong Kong and are now in the UK. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, it just puts a lot of pressure. I can imagine, full disclosure, I'm an immigrant to Canada myself. I moved to Canada from the United States of America, but when I was like 18 or something, and so I'm do my best to represent Canada as a Canuck, but I could not imagine the United States coming up here and arresting me, and obviously based on what China's thing is, I mean, I bash the United States a fair amount. And actually, so does the Yankee, but I don't know. I mean,
So,
we tried. I'm trying to be nice here.
You want to do the Paralympic gold medalist story?
Well,
because you picked that
well,
out. You like that story, so
it's straight. It does have to do with sports. We might as well bring up the fact that the Olympics is going to have some sports, but in a nutshell, let's just watch the clip.
She's
I don't know
cute.
how long it is. It's from Fox News, so you know it's not fake.
It's
okay?
3 minutes, but we'll do a minute or so.
Do it till you get bored. But yeah, it's from Fox News, so you know it's not fake, right?
Sure.
Let's get it together here.
I want them to stick to their mission statement about inclusion and equity and in being there for the athletes. We're trying to grow a sport, be inclusive, and you're telling me that I'm literally being excluded because of my disability. I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana as a competitive gymnast, and my gymnastics career ended when I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma bone cancer. And I had two options. It was either let cancer get the best of my life or move on and find something that made me happy. I chose snowboarding because it reminded me of a balance beam. And if I could have any piece of my old life back, I would have done anything to do it. I do not have a knee or a foot. Not having a knee is massive in snowboarding. I competed in the 2018 Paralympic Games where I won 2 gold medals. So Paralympic snowboarding is set up in 2 different leg impairment groups. So you have LL1, which is the most impaired leg disability group. And then you have LL2, which is the less impaired disability group. I currently compete in LL1, and I competed in LL1 at the Korea Games. And back in 2019, the International Paralympic Committee made the decision to not include LL1 women in the Paralympics. However, we were told that we could compete in the LL2 group with the less disabled athletes, even though we would be at a disadvantage. We were still offered that opportunity to compete. And in February of 2021, the qualification guides came out. We were completely excluded from the qualification guide and the program in China. So they eliminated our category of competition because we didn't have enough participants. I mean, immediately when we found out that we could not compete, there was actually a rule that said if there is less than 3 women in the LL1 class, they can compete with the LL2 women. So the more disabled women competed with the less impaired women. And in our competitions, both myself and my competitor at one event won first and second. There is no language in our rule book that says we can compete, but there is also no language in our rule book that says we cannot compete. I'm very
So
Yeah.
so that's I don't know
I mean,
why
it's stupid.
China's doing that. But it's China, and it's also the Olympic Committee, right? Whatever it's
listen,
called.
The IOC, we could probably do a 5-hour special on just the IOC and get enough dirt to fill in a big hole, but we're not going to. But the whole thing is just backwards. I mean, it used to be the Olympics didn't allow professional athletes. It used to be pretty good organization, you know. But over the years, it's not. So you want to?
So we should move on to the
crypto.
This is the crazy Chinese claim that Omicron variant was introduced to Beijing residents through mail from Canada. So there is a video here from Daily Motion. It should work.
This is good. Now check it out, people. The average Canada is. They dislike Canadians, these damn Chinese people, more than they dislike anybody practically in the whole world. They do not like us at all. And the Yankee says it's because we locked up Madame Butterfly.
Yes, the Black Widow, I call her.
Yeah, Min Ming. And my Ming. Anyhow, come on. We haven't done nothing wrong. But now they're trying to blame Oxycontin, or whatever that's called, the new strain of COVID, on us.
Oxycontin?
I know what's it called. Coronavirus.
Omicron.
Omicron,
right?
I can't. I feel like you're.
Omicron, Oxycontin. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's not good. Don't do it recreationally.
They both may kill you.
Yeah, well, anyhow, so they're trying to blame us for shipping them COVID on a package. Yeah, roll it.
Give me a sec here. All right. Rock and roll.
I heard that story and found it quite comical. Obviously, we're very concerned with variants within the pandemic, variants that have come from outside of Canada, but that we have to deal with here. Stories like this remind us that from the beginning of the pandemic, some of the news and reporting out of China could not be trusted.
To be very honest with you, I don't know where that is coming from, and we'll check with officials and our partners around the world. I think this is something but not only new, but intriguing, and certainly not in accordance with what we have done both internationally and domestically. I'm no expert and would need to ask both for more information and more expertise on what is being claimed.
So there it is. And I want to actually add that Chinese video we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, but Canuck, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
All right, so let me get that in there real quick.
There we go. Yeah, I tell you what. I mean, I love the Canadian guy. It's kind of like, well, this is intriguing. I mean, well, I think we're almost too nice sometimes. But I think that's better than the opposite.
Give me a second here.
Yeah, you want me to sing a song, fill in the blanks? Sour D wants me to sing some Slayer. Sorry, Sour D.
Yeah, that was
I'm not
after his time.
Is that one of the groups where the guy sounds like he went to the Satan School of Vocals? I don't know.
All right, I've got it, and let me link this up. We're going to do a little bit from this
Barry
video.
Manilow? I can do Barry Manilow.
Yeah, give us some Barry Manilow. That'd be awesome.
I've been alive forever. I wrote the very first song.
That's awesome.
I used to get paid to do that.
Let me reload this. We are not going to do the part that has really some crazy. Oh, shit. We cannot start with that.
No.
This section right out here when they say get out of China and then they say another word that I don't really want to stream.
Okay, well, it is bleeped.
It's bleeped?
Yeah.
All right.
They just printed out. And they even bleeped the printing. Don't be all right. Hey, we didn't make the darn thing. They did. I mean, they...
Guangzhou, China's capital of Guangdong and one of China's most important first-tier cities. One could say the peak of southern Chinese sophistication, infrastructure, and progress. What do the citizens of Guangzhou say when an African-American ex-NBA player exits his bus after an official Chinese Basketball Association game?
Holy shit, I gotta get this on. Shit. Jesus Christ.
Just so you understand, the target of this abuse was ex-NBA player Clarence Sonny Weems. He was in the past drafted for the Chicago Bulls and played for the Denver Nuggets as well as many others before taking a position in the Guangdong Southern Tigers of the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association. I certainly hope someone, somewhere, is taking a knee in order to protest the systemic racism in Chinese society. Probably not, though, as like other NBA players, they'll just end up excusing this disgusting racist behavior and instead end up apologizing for China's brutal regime instead. Oh, and it gets deeper than this.
Yeah, so the video goes on. It's a long 20-minute video, but...
yeah, I strongly suggest people watch the whole thing.
I mean, there is there's another section here.
The interview
just
with
gonna
the guy.
do real quick.
Say that.
Do a little bit of it.
This guy comes on and boy, he's talking some bad.
从长远的看，
There he is.
就是给我们
Boy,
在
sweetheart.
增加更多的敌人。 给那些洋垃圾繁衍后代。
I mean, just imagine saying that to someone. Oh, you're marrying a foreigner, so what you're doing is you're increasing the amount of enemies, and you're increasing the descendants of foreign trash, which is what he said. Of course, I could translate it in a more colloquial way, the way he really means it. It would sound a lot more disgusting and harsh. But this is really a mindset that we have to be aware of. We have to understand that this exists in China to a large extent. And again,
that's the basics of it. But I've got it in the show notes. Definitely check it out. It's eye-opening. We're not saying that all Chinese people are like this.
No.
But
as a matter of fact,
there's a problem. There's a problem.
As a matter of fact, they even discriminate against their fellow Chinese. They also, the video goes into that, although there's a lot of non-quote-unquote Chinese in China, most of them are actually of Asian descent. They call Japanese people little Japs, and of course,
Jap ghosts or something like that.
Something like that. I mean, they are slagging everybody except for people that have the imperial dynasty blood in them.
But it's Han Chinese.
Yeah, but hang on. Also in that video, the guy points out that most of those people are a mix anyway. And just to wrap the whole darn thing up a little bit, this is the same playbook that Hitler used. We are the superior race. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. And all countries are susceptible to it, including the United States, when one race decides that they are a supreme race, which gives them carte blanche to do whatever they want. Okay, that sounded like an editorial, but it was. All right, you want to go on to crypto? I'm starting to lose my mind.
Let's do it. Let's do the old crypto. Thing.
I'm tired of all this Russian. Sino. What do you call it?
Sino-Russian relations. What?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it Sino-Russian relations or something. But here we go. BitcoinMagazine.com.
Wow,
we've got Jack Dorsey. He left Twitter. He was asleep at the wheel at Twitter for a long time, and then he decided to finally leave.
I like that band. Sleep at the Wheel?
Yeah, that's my favorite band. And he started a company called Block and looking at trying to create affordable, maybe Bitcoin async miners. These are the dedicated miners. They just mine Bitcoin. That's it. But Intel is getting into the game. Intel to join Bitcoin mining async market with new chip. Intel could be about to enter Bitcoin mining chip making industry. And the chip maker will present Bonanza Mine, an ultra-low voltage, energy-efficient Bitcoin mining async at the upcoming ISSCC conference on February 23rd. It's unclear whether the presentation will entail a product launch, a proof of concept demonstration, or simply sharing a project. But a lot of movement on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining in general, and we'll have to see. But at the same time, moving on is panic. They are panicking in Kosovo.
They're panicking in Kosovo.
They don't have, maybe they're not confident in their electrical grid, and they are just shutting down energy-guzzling Bitcoin miners. And
shut her down.
I'd like to state what should be obvious to the world. Crypto mining does not destroy the climate. It does not do that in any way, shape, or form. And on top of that, Bitcoin mining, crypto mining in general is moving towards proof of useful work. So it's going to branch out, not just crypto mining. It's going to get into machine learning, AI type stuff, video rendering, things along those lines. More like real world tech processing that's needed. So crypto mining it's growing.
Yeah,
and it's expanding it's branching out with not just mining tokens, but countries Europe's electric electricity costs are skyrocketing, so
Well, yeah, it's
they can't mine
expensive.
there, and Kosovo's just pulling the plug.
Well, yeah, but one factor also might be, I'll just suggest it to you, or whoever, one of my sources, intellectual sources, said that it would do with Kazakhstan that the Soviet Union and other authoritarian regimes do not like crypto, and China pulled the plug on you guys, and now Russia's kind of pulled the plug, and Kazakhstan's been pulling the plug. Kosovo's pulling the plug. I mean, you all guys can move here. We'll send you to Alberta. You can just hang out out there.
It's all about control. I mean, Russia,
Yeah,
China
that's what
already
it
has
is.
its
That's what I'm
own.
getting to.
It already has its own digital yuan. It tried to get into, heavy Bitcoin mining because it thought it could control the Bitcoin market, but it's decentralized, so they failed, and then they just gave up, and now they're banning it. So Russia's going to have their own central bank digital currency, but this is more about companies creating their own digital asset and having control and monitoring citizens. So
and I'll take that as a confirmation. Then let's move on to something fun like drugs. You like drugs? You do drugs?
Who was it? Was it Nancy Reagan that told us not to do drugs when I was a kid?
Oh, there was a number of people who said that. And some of those people actually that told us not to do drugs were actually got strung out on Oxycontin and stuff like that. But we're going to do a quick editorial, and then we're going to move on to Bizarro. Okay, this week's editorial is drug laws and decriminalization, and I'll go first. I'm going to have to go with one of the great Americans, Ron Paul, a Republican libertarian congressman, I believe, from Texas. And he said, amongst other things, make it legal. And if people want to go down that path, fine. And that's got very conservative. A number of doctors and other people have said that. In the United Kingdom, many, many years ago, they were giving out prescription opiates, but the people had to line up in the morning at 5 o'clock and get their dose, and it looked bad on them. And so, one of the problems with the drug laws is that they're like all laws, they say they're for the public's good, but actually pharmaceutical companies like it. The people that are dealing a lot of times are connected with the people that are making the laws in one way or another, even if the people making the laws don't realize it. And of course, then there's the pure threats. But you think about it, like let's say decriminalization of marijuana happened here right across Canada completely. And it has not led to any particular spike other than that the black market has taken a real hit. Prices have dropped by about 60 to 70% on what's called the gray market now, not the black market. So I'm making an official stand that I do advocate the legalization of drugs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think they should be unregulated, if you know what I mean. Like here in Canada, pot's legal, but it's illegal to sell pot that's not on the legal market, if you follow me. So, I mean, what is your take on this? Because the trouble is that the people that are making all the money off this are really, really icky people, like Mexican cartels and remember Air America, the movie, and it purported that the CIA was involved with the heroin and stuff like that.
Right, and there was a reporter, Weber, I believe his name was, and he reported on that connection.
Well, it was. I hate the term common knowledge, but back in the community that I grew up in, which could be called the alternative community of the '60s, i.e., hippies, I guess. It was common knowledge during the Vietnam War that there was heroin coming out, and
Gary
I hung
Webb.
out.
Gary Webb was his name.
Yeah, I remember that guy, and it was common knowledge. I had associates that dealt in the high end drug business. I had nothing to do with it ever, and that's honest, the truth. But they were only dealing pot. They were huge pot dealers, but they had inside information about the drugs and stuff. And then you go back to another thing in New York. You know New York City, right? You hang out there or something. Okay, well,
I'm going down there tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we're up on the Upper West Side.
I'll be streaming.
Oh, neat. Well, we're up on the Upper West Side, West Side Story, all that nifty stuff, and it was the late 60s. And we're hanging out with this bunch, and this guy asked me if I want to buy some heroin. Which I said no, because I wasn't into that stuff. I won't tell you what I was into, because I have to take the Fifth Amendment on this one. But, okay, the amount of heroin that he was going to sell me was $3. So being the little investigating type that I was, at that time, the same amount of heroin was $20 in Los Angeles. Okay? Why? Good question. Now, the next one is, within a year of that experience, at that time, there was no heroin in my neighborhood in the lower Hudson River Valley. Within a year and a half, heroin had moved into the college campuses and the streets of that area. Why? Third one, same thing happened in the California alternative movement. All of a sudden, heroin showed up in the community, and people got strung out. So that would seem to me that it might have been being controlled by people that wanted to keep people controlled. And that goes back to the oldest theory of heroin addiction in Harlem, for example, was perpetrated to keep those people preoccupied with being junkies, which also might answer the first question, which is why is a bag of heroin only $3 in New York and $20 in Los Angeles? And that's my take. So I'll leave it with you. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Well, I want to continue on with Gary Webb because I think that's an important thing to discuss with the war on drugs in the United States.
Yeah.
So Gary Webb uncovered the connections with the CIA. Specifically, it was mainly cocaine being pushed into Southern California, Los Angeles area. There was a big drug dealer that got arrested. I forget his name, but that during that era in the 80s, that's what led to the crack epidemic. I mean, the CIA helped bring large amounts of cocaine in, and then they created crack cocaine, which is
purportedly
condensed.
No, I'm just trying to cover your.
Right. Yes. It was reported though.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Webb, yes.
And we're just journalists here, people.
And then
I know that.
Yeah, because they say he committed suicide, but that's who knows what happened.
No,
but anyway, I mean that led to the crack cocaine epidemic and the violence. So it just goes hand in hand. Violence, the gang warfare. That's it's fueled.
It's got to be
these drugs come in. They come in somehow, and the reality is that the United States, with the technology that they have, the military, the army, police, all working together.
It's got to be a web, dude. It's got to be interconnected, and I think a lot of these people.
How are all these drugs coming in?
And also, you got to factor in that this type of people, they'll use anything. We're slagging down on the government maybe being involved, but the obvious people involved will use extortion. They'll use blackmail. They'll use whatever. Once you fall in the trap of being a drug dealer for, say, something like the Cosa Nostra or something, you can't quit. There's no severance pay. Severance pay is you be swimming with the fishes. You understand? But somebody's got let's go away. It sounds like money to me.
And
so the war on drugs was a
I mean,
complete failure.
there's a CIA connect. There's a real, very big problem with CIA, other deep state, whatever you want to call them, and drugs coming in. That definitely came about from the who knows when maybe 50s, 60s, right? 50s, 60s onward. And it got really bad with cocaine in the 80s, and then now in the last 20 years, it's the opioid
and fentanyl. The fentanyl thing, dude. I mean, the OxyContin thing was really bad, but the fentanyl situation is killing people like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of miners in Virginia, West Virginia, I guess, the mining country there. I mean, a lot of the workers were put on prescribed OxyContin.
Yeah.
And then they got addicted. I mean, it
sounds like a really
created to be highly addictive, and then the user is the one that gets punished. Now they can't. They get to the point where they can't get their prescription filled, and then they go to the illegal black market, what have you.
Yeah.
The laws across the board. I mean, federally. I mean, marijuana.
They're skewed.
That's the big problem right now in the United States with marijuana. Also, you have a bunch of states that are legalizing it, but it doesn't mean anything if the federal government
it
can
seems to
swoop in at any time because they're still banning it. It's still Section C.
Yeah, you got 3 players. It seems to me they're hell bent on winning, and that is very possibly the government based on this observation and cause and effect. And there's also obviously the criminal element. And of course, we can't forget Big Pharma, because one of the reasons that marijuana is not legal is Big Pharma doesn't like it. One of the reasons complete reason OxyContin came along like that was Big Pharma. So you got 3 entities, and they're all pretty serious entities. I try to avoid all 3 of those things, by the way, just because they seem very threatening. Okay, well, that's the editorial, right?
We can finish up with that. So we're going to move on to Bizarro.
And I will say one thing. If you do recreational drugs, put the recreation in the drugs. In other words, do not do them when you're trying to function, okay? Do people a favor. Do not drive drunk. Do not go to work stoned out of your mind. All right? I'm serious. They call it recreational drugs for a reason. It's not supposed to become a lifestyle.
Yeah, you don't want to start using it every day.
I've lost a lot of friends to heroin. And I've lost a few friends to cocaine abuse. It took them a long time to die, but it caught up with them. So that's my take. Yeah. Have a nice day.
Well, let's move on to the guy running for Senate who likes
here's
ganja.
Here's a guy. I bet you this guy knows the meaning of recreational use, although he was working while he was making his commercial smoking a blunt. And it's the Democratic candidate from the great state of Louisiana, one of the most crazy states in the existence from when I seen it on TV. And he's running for U.S. Senate. And he smokes marijuana in a campaign.
Real quick, 37
Every
second
37
video.
seconds, someone is arrested for possession of marijuana.
So
Since
really
2010, state and local police have arrested.
The other guy is exactly the opposite.
All right, I want to do the video real quick.
All right.
Every 37 seconds, someone is arrested for possession of marijuana. Since 2010, state and local police have arrested an estimated 7.3 million Americans for violating marijuana laws, over half of all drug arrests. Black people are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana laws than white people. States waste $3.7 billion enforcing marijuana laws every year. Most of the people police are arresting aren't dealers, but rather people with small amounts of pot, just like me. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
And I just want to do something real quick here. He's running against this guy, John Kennedy, right? John Kennedy, there he is. Is this his Twitter? This is his Facebook. There he is. Yeah, I'm not logged into Facebook. Leave me alone. But yeah, that's who he's running against. Senator John Kennedy.
He is. Yeah. Yeah, extremely opposites, real opposites there. Now I'm wondering, was that a real marijuana thing? Because, like, wouldn't he get in trouble?
Well, I mean, this is what he's running on, so he's got to smoke.
But isn't it illegal in Louisiana? I mean, one time when I was a kid, right, and I was in what do they call it? Some kind of class where you have to go up and give a speech or something before the whole class to show that you know them speaking classes. They teach you how to speak public speaking,
right? Like lecture or whatever.
Yeah, I got a really good
Public
education.
speaking.
So anyway, I got up for everybody, and I took out a joint, and I said, "You see this right here?" I said, "I could go to jail for 10 years for having this." Boy, did I get everybody's attention. But it was a tobacco hand-rolled cigarette. I tell you. All right, we're going to look into it, see if that guy was really smoking dope or he was faking it. All right, moving on with Bizarro.
Yeah, we're gonna have an update on what did we call him? Professor.
Oh, Professor.
Offensive. Professor Offensive.
Well,
so this guy
I
was,
like this guy, man.
Yeah.
Now he's gotten in all kinds of trouble. We had him on the show last week, and he's got in the last week's show notes the video of his entire 18-minute rant where he was speaking the way he felt, and he did swear. Wait, in the video, which we're not showing the whole thing today, but in the video he did swear. But then he said, "I was only using the language from this particular movie." And then he discussed whether he'd be accused of plagiarism or not. This guy's nuts. Anyway, yeah, well, you got some new update on this guy?
So he was just going off, and from what I gathered, he was just, one of the main things he was upset about is that he didn't want to go to teach class in person at the university or whatever because of COVID or whatever. So he was just like out of his mind.
That was part of it, but there was other
basically
things
delusional, but it was entertaining.
Oh yeah, wait.
Well, we're gonna do a real quick video, so
Okay.
I guess they're vectors of disease. I guess he's calling his students that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they're vectors of disease. Now this you gotta watch.
Well, we're not going to show the actual video. We already did that.
It's in our show notes from last week. We'll repost it or something. All right, let's watch this. Yeah, it doesn't seem like voiceover.
What's that?
Oh, it doesn't have a voiceover, just that music, eh? I'm just trying to read what it's saying here. Air State. Okay, videos of performance.
Grading is based on the Calvinist doctrine.
Okay. Yeah, read it to us, eh?
Entrance into heaven or hell was predetermined by God regardless of one's actions on earth. Mailer then talks about his concerns about the COVID-19 pandemic and in-person teaching, calling his students vectors of disease.
Yeah.
Ferris State University does not require students to get a COVID-19 vaccine to attend classes. Charles Bacon, president of the Ferris Faculty Association, said Mailer's classes are very popular and makes the class extremely interesting. I'm sure, no doubt. But he's gone now, right? They shafted him. He's suspended, but he's retiring anyway. He's gone. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's part of why I think he had the kahuna to do that thing and just speak his mind because he's leaving in, well, probably 3 or 4 months anyway. But they did suspend him. So it's an ongoing debate as to whether this guy should have done that or not. I will not pass judgment, but it is entertaining. And, okay. What next do we have? We got a fair amount of time,
we kind of
actually.
covered this a little bit. Tesla owner says he makes up to $800 a month mining cryptocurrency with his car. He says it's worth it, even though it could void his warranty. I got to figure out how to do this with my car.
I think you got an electric car.
told CNBC that his Tesla Model 3 mined Bitcoin and Ethereum for about 20 hours a day. Wow. He called his car a computer with wheels and said he made $400 to $800 a month. I'm wondering how much power he got off the I guess, I mean, obviously the battery's got to be much more powerful than, like a standard car that's not electric.
Well, jeez. That could be the ticket for you. Man could just drive around in your Tesla and be making bank mining. Man, what's Elon say about us? That's interesting anyway.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I was like, what if you hit a bump and then, your whole crypto rig just smashes into pieces?
He's not making that much money.
You got to mount it properly.
Hey, he might not be making much money, but he succeeded in getting on the Canuck and Yankee show, so he's a success. There you go. All right, who are we going to pick on next?
Last one. All right, Bills. Buffalo Bills fans, anybody? Come on, help me out here. This is from casports.yahoo.
Excuse me, Monsieur Yankee. I have to let people know that if I'm seeing a little antsy today, this football team that I've been rooting for about 60 years.
Cheeseheads.
Well, it wasn't a very good night last night, but I figured out that Tim and I used to live in San Francisco, and my parents lived there, and I liked the city, and Green Bay, Wisconsin is apparently not that nice as San Francisco. So I'm going to root for the 49ers and just forget about Green Bay. But
which you were rooting for the Packers.
All right, listen. Of course I was rooting for the Packers. I've been rooting for the Packers since 1960, dude. Okay, quick synopsis.
All right, so this is.
All right, I got to get this off my chest.
Detroit Red Wings fan.
All right, this is a synopsis from last night's game between the Green Bay Packers and San Francisco. We sucked, Green Bay. Special teams super sucked. Play call sucked. What else sucked?
That block punt. The block punt was it. That's what did you in.
Well, that's special teams. See, special teams are supposed to take care of this shit stuff. And block punt for a touchdown. San Francisco did not score any offensive touchdowns. Play call, Aaron was just throwing to Dante and one other guy. And they were only running a couple people. So it's coaching, special teams, and go San Francisco. Okay, enough of this. Now,
all right, so this is
the lighter side of football. Now, when the Buffalo Bills, which I kind of like the Buffalo Bills because they used to always lose, but apparently I don't know if they lost today or not, but we'll find out. What do they do to celebrate? Now, here in Canada, if somebody gets what's called a hat trick, which means 3 goals in a game, we throw hats down on the rink. What do they do in Buffalo, Mr. Yankee?
They throw sex toys. I'm trying to figure out if is there a video?
I think there is.
That's an image. I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so. But, so Detroit Red Wing fans throw an octopus on the ice at the start of the playoffs. Buffalo Bills fans throw a sex toy. And Canuck, you're saying that this probably comes from a Canuck tradition, but...
Well, now there is a possibility that Canucks are involved with this because Buffalo is very close to Toronto. And so for their NFL fix, because we got CFL here, Canadian Football League, which is okay, but NFL is big time. So a lot of Buffalo Bill fans are Canadian, but we are going to have to go to the bottom of this. They throw sex toys. What kind of sex toys do they say?
You
Anything in
might have
particular?
you might have forgotten about the weird tradition in which Bills fans started throwing a sex toy in the field when they played the New England Patriots. Oh, let's just see what this
Oh,
is.
just the Patriots. Oh, now.
Yeah,
plot
someone threw a
thickens.
sex toy in the field during Bills Patriots. This is the wild card game. Trilogy has been completed. There's a sex toy right there. Appears to be a dildo of some kind. Can you see that?
Okay, I will in a second. I'm watching it.
I'm
today.
really zooming in there.
Oh,
That's
there
about
it
as good
is.
as it gets.
All right, well, that's it. Talk about wonder what they do for a halftime show. So it's just when the New England
Oh,
Patriots.
hey, we got something.
Oh, this is. Oh. No one wants to touch it.
Anybody out there? Sour D, do you know what's going on?
No, see, did you see that? Canuck?
No.
The guy.
wait, there is a video.
The sex toy gets thrown, and then the guy uses a towel to pick it up. Watch.
Oh, he's probably afraid it was being
Hey, can we
used.
do? Here.
Oh my.
It's kind of hard to see.
No one wants
Yeah,
to
but
touch
still,
it.
you get the picture.
Is that coming through?
Something.
Yeah, it's coming through. I'm seeing it on D Live and YouTube.
Oh shit! It's in full screen mode.
Oh, it was for a minute.
And now I have to enter full screen. No. All right. I gotta get out. The way Apple deals with full screen mode is beyond retarded.
It's not fair. Okay, well, even if you disappeared, we're at the end of the show. We can end the show with a picture of a dildo.
You want to see a ref kick a dildo out of the end zone?
Oh, we're back. Yeah, you're back. I just don't know what to say.
Wait. There's another one. Right there.
Dildo on the field. Oh my god.
The refs are completely ignoring it. You gotta take that off the field, buddy. Come
Somebody
on.
could get hurt.
Can't have any dildos on the field.
Oh, could you please remove the dildo from the playing field?
It doesn't take much. It really doesn't.
I wonder what the commentator. I bet you the mainstream media just cut away as soon as that started happening. They went to commercial. I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, that's it. That's a wrap. I have in the show notes here for next week's stream. We're going to be doing Southeast Asia, Pakistan, all that
Yeah,
razzmatazz.
so
Bomb
I'm
blast
sorry,
kills 3 people.
We have to cover this because it's happening, and we covered it some a while ago. But the military overall picture alliances in Southeast Asia, which includes Pakistan, India, the normal group, Laos, Vietnam, all them guys, Australia, Japan, the Philippines, Tonga. Oh, Tonga. Boy, they got a hit. Did you see that volcano they had in Tonga?
Yeah. I mean, the
Whoa.
tsunami waves hit San Francisco, SF
No.
Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of that. I couldn't believe it.
I thought they weren't that big, but some people saying they were 15,
Well,
16 feet.
Well, yeah, they had it shown going through some marinas in Santa Cruz.
I saw footage in Pacifica. It was hitting the barriers.
Oh, it
barrier
did some
walls.
serious damage. And also, and we talked about this on an earlier show, underground internet cables susceptible to volcanoes. Well, it happened. They got knocked right out. And they're relying on satellite feed for internet right now. So there you go. Tune in next week. Yeah,
we'll be doing Southeast Asia. We'll have more crypto updates and
a bunch more bizarre. We got
see what Putin
backloads.
is up to. We'll figure something out.
We got backloads of Bizarro too. You got to tune in because we're gonna. The world's top cop may be going. He may be getting arrested. Tune in next week.
Indeed.
1 o'clock Pacific. 2 p.m.
All right. So that's a wrap, and thanks goes out to Sour D. Thank you for the support and hanging out in the chat. And yeah, we will be back next Sunday. I'm doing my crypto show as usual tomorrow. Every Monday, I'll have a broadcast at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Crypto to go.
All right.
Step right up. Have a great night, and enjoy your week. Stay in touch. If you got any subjects you want us to cover, we're always looking for something.
Yeah, definitely. Links, topics, let us know.
Yep.
All right, everybody. See you on the flip side.
Good luck.
My